Welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We do appreciate it. I've used this auction company myself, and so I have personal experience. I had 2 listings that I used them for that went fantastic for me. I have 2 that are going to start again, I think this week. At the end of this week, we're going to have 2 more going up. And just a word to the wise, this may not work for everybody. So when you get with Scott or when you get with somebody on his team, they're going to go over the property with you. They're going to do their own comps and they're going to decide, hey, this either works or it doesn't work. Because for some sellers, it's not going to make sense. They may be, underneath overextended on their property, or they're not going to break even, and it just won't work. But Scott's going to help you guys get through that. And I'm gonna kind of play a video. That's going to be the start of it. I'm sure you may have already seen it. And then, but it'll just refresh your memory about kind of a large summary of how the process works. And then I'm going to open it up for a Q&A. And I may give some of my personal experience of how it helped me not only generate more leads, have jam-packed open houses, and get more visualization on my listings on different platforms like Realtor.com and Zillow, and truly the view count was just insane. But yeah, I'm going to play this video real quick, and then I'm going to let Scott come in, and then you guys can feel free to ask us any questions that you would like. Actually, you know what, Scott, why don't you introduce yourself and give them a little background about yourself first, and then we'll go into the video.
All right. So good morning, everybody. Thank you again for attending. I know it's time consuming, but you're going to learn a lot today. My experience is I've been with Alex Cooper for 25 years. I've probably sold 2,000 properties, give or take a few. Many of them were commercial. The company is 100 years old. We're a 4th-generation family-run business, totally service-oriented, as Shawn will tell you. You call me.
Something.
Hear me? Somebody's talking. Can you hear me? Okay. Hello?
We can hear you.
Okay. So and again, we're driven to success. We have 21 days to get the property sold. We will assist you in any way, shape, or form, be it at an open house where you have questions, you're not sure how to answer them. We give you all the remarks to put in your MLS and all those good things I'll go through later in this tutorial. But the experience we have, excuse me, is second to none. We don't do any traditional listings. It's all auction. We also auction everything inside the house as well. We found many, many, many unique things over the years, including we just auctioned off a John Lennon piano that he wrote the song Woman to Yoko Ono on. So we're a full service, true auction house. 53 people work here, 36,000 square foot building, and eager to help and to teach people that want to learn something new and have a new tool in their bag to be able to assist their career. Thanks.
So yeah. So now I'm going to play this video so you guys can get a little bit of an understanding, and then we'll open it up for some questions after that. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen real quick here, and then we can get into this thing.
Hi, fellow agents. We wanted to introduce the auction method as a way of selling your sale listings. Shawn Romano, an agent partner of ours you all may know, has had extreme luck in the past selling 2 of his listings by joining forces with Scott and Jared at Alex Cooper Auctioneers. Both listings were sold in 21 days online with well over 20,000 views. Both had overwhelming attended open houses, and many of the buyers were unrepresented, allowing Shawn to pick up new buyers. The process is simple. You keep the listing on the MLS with the remarks describing the 21-day online bidding process. The seller pays your commission, so feel free to negotiate 6%, 5%, 4%, whatever you'd like. Your responsibility is to contribute 1% of your commission towards the buyer agent's commission. The seller does not pay the buyer commission, and the buyer pays all the documentary stamps and all transfer fees. Seller's costs are very minimal. You, the seller, and Scott and Jared set the reserve or the minimal acceptable price. If the auction does not produce that amount, the seller does not have to accept that price and owes the auctioneer nothing, not one dime. Keep in mind, Alex Cooper was established in 1924 and is the leader in real estate auctions. They normally meet or exceed the reserve. You control the listing, take the calls, keep your sign in the yard, and take credit for the sale on the MLS for volume. The best part is the property is sold as is. There are no inspections, no appraisal, and no financing contingencies. The buyers all put in a deposit prior to the auction, usually $10,000. The auction is live for everyone to see on their mobile or PC. The bidding is fast and furious at the end, and only bidders with deposits are able to bid. Within one business day, the successful bidder wires 10% of the purchase price to the title company. They must close within 30 days, no contingencies. This out-of-the-box way of selling with all seller favorable terms will set you apart from any other agents out here. Times are tough now, friends. If you take overpriced listings, you are just wasting time and energy. Fair market value is determined through competitive bidding. For a real testimonial from a fellow agent who has firsthand experience with our process, call Shawn at 407-414-4976 or email him at ShawnSellsFlorida@gmail.com. Keep in mind, this is a fast and furious way to keep selling real estate. It is a proven process with the Coopers having sold thousands of commercial and residential real estate. It is definitely a win for you, your seller, and Alex Cooper. Call Shawn now, 407-414-4976, or email him at ShawnSellsFlorida@gmail.com. Hi, fellow agents. We wanted to introduce.
All right, so that gives you a kind of a little bit of a gist of how the process works. Now, I know that was a lot to take in all at once, so I'm sure there's going to be some questions. But my personal experience is, when I did this, I had a seller who was kind of difficult, but the process was going to work for him as far as the amount of money he would make versus the amount of money he would save from having to pay. He doesn't have to pay the buyer's agent. He doesn't have to pay his closing costs. So in the end, you have to remember when you're describing this to your client that you have to factor in that savings, because yeah, the price may come in, 15 or 20 below what they originally wanted, but they're saving 15 or 20 in the amount of money that they're paying out in commissions and things of that nature. So sometimes they can't wrap their head around it, and that's your job to kind of help them understand the process. But I know the one beauty that all my people that have done this process that they loved is the fact that they didn't have as much worry of people backing out or wasting their time, because that deposit that they have to make, that's just a bid. And then if you didn't hear it, they have to, if they are the winning bidder, put 10% of the total winning bid price into escrow, and then they must perform because there is no contingencies. So the sellers really appreciated the fact that they could count on the fact that this is going to close and they can start making their next decision. So Scott, I'm going to let you kind of explain.
So before the Q&A, let me give you a couple scenarios as to how things happen. For an example, Shawn called me. He says, "Hi, I happen to see your auction platform. Can you explain it to me? I have a seller," and he tells me a little bit about the seller. Now, what's important, first question is seller's level of motivation, 0 to 10. If they're not at an 8, a 9, a 10, 11, a 12, forget it. They have to be into the process of wanting to sell their property and serious about it. Not the ones that say, well, if you get me this, I'll sell it, or my uncle told me it was worth that, or Zillow said this. We have to deal with 21 days of getting this sold. So we discuss it. We discuss the psychology behind the seller and why he wants to sell and where he's going. Most importantly, we ask, what do they owe? Many real estate agents do not ask, how much do you owe on this property with all your encumbrances? Your HELOC, your this, your that, your first mortgage, your second mortgage. We need to know that number, because if we can't perform at that number and they're not writing a check at settlement, this is just a waste of everybody's time. So that's important. So 0 to 10, level of motivation. What do they owe on the property? Why are they moving? Where are they going? We want to know a little bit about the situation and the level, again, of motivation. In Shawn's case, the first guy was very difficult. I'm great with difficult people. People tell me I'm like black licorice. You either love me or you hate me.
The one thing I will say is, there's some clients that we don't want to say what we want to say to them. But I use Scott as a tool in those situations. If I don't want to look like the bad guy, I let Scott tell them the things that I wanted to tell them,
Exactly.
but I don't want them to fire me.
Yeah, so
And he
so
will do it
sometimes
for you.
exactly. So sometimes the auction may not be the right tool for that seller, but I'll say to him, you have the best agent in town, just lower the price 20,000. Here's what it's truly worth. Because normally the only person that thinks it's worth that amount of money is the seller, obviously. Okay. So Shawn calls me, we have a nice discussion about the property. I ask him why it hasn't sold. We have a whole list, 10, 15 items in there we want to know about it. So once we determine where it will sell, Shawn and I will say, all right, Shawn, what's the real number? Not that I know you wanted the listing, maybe you took it a little higher, you're going to try. What's it truly worth? So we have that down and dirty conversation. Then we eventually talk to the seller. There's Jared walked in. Say hi, Jared.
Hello.
He's my real estate partner.
How you
20,
doing?
20 years. Anyway, so what happens is we then have that nice conversation about the seller, hear how emotionally they're tied into their property or not. I'm moving to Texas. I got a job transfer. I got to unload this thing. So we're one of the few people that can tell you the date and time that you're going to sell your property. 21 days from the day they sign the listing agreement is the auction. It's an online bidding platform, which we'll show you later on a shared screen. We have auctions pretty much every day, Monday through Thursday, because we need that wire 10%. We can't do it on Friday. Banks are closed on Saturday. So basically, we have this nice conversation. We get the seller on the phone. The seller understands after 10 or 15 minutes. And then Shawn tells them about the cost savings. The buyer is paying the documentary stamps and the transfer taxes, even the sellers. Shawn may, instead of charging 6%, maybe he charges 4%. Okay, maybe he charges 6%. He's done that before. It all depends. So you give them some savings. You give them a date and a time that they're going to sell their house. They're engaged. They're watching it. As soon as Shawn gets the listing agreement back to us, which is like a 3-party agreement, we send them the remarks for the multiple list. The secret to our sauce in 100 years of auctioning property is the low opening bid. It's very similar to eBay. A $200,000 house, the opening bid is usually $100,000. Now it hits Trulia, Zillow, Realtor.com, Redfin, everybody else at $100,000. Everybody searching goes, wait a minute, what's wrong with this house? Shawn's phone now blows up where it was quiet. All the attention starts going to that property. People are driving by, they're looking at night with flashlights. They think the seller's lost their mind, so to speak. But we tell them right away in an information sheet we print for you, this is not a foreclosure. This is not a distressed property. This is an alternative way to sell real estate through the auction process. So you're going to now create excitement for your property and your listing. The seller is going to be so happy that people are now riding by, looking and seeing, and they may even knock on the door, so to speak.
Yeah, they did.
Now you've created the energy and the excitement like the old days when people were throwing money at sellers and you get multiple offers and things are happening. This is a way to bring that back. If you monitor this, let's say on Zillow, and it says you have 10,000 page views and 372 saves, that's accurate. That's what you're going to get. You're going to get the frozen market. Now, you're also going to freeze out the competition because if I'm searching in that area and you're 100,000 opening bid and the other house are 220, 240, they're not going to sell until the auction. We do let the people know in their remarks. The suggested opening bid is the suggested opening bid. It's not the price. It's the opening bid at the auction. So and Shawn will tell you, people don't read, right? So
yeah,
they're going to call you. Your phone's going to blow up. All the Redfin and agents and all the agents from Zillow that are buying that territory are mad at us because their phone is blowing up because they're getting the calls about this auction and they don't even know what the hell it's even all about. So instead of them capitalizing on it and taking those new buyers and cultivating it, they sort of get mad that the auctioneer came into town and he's selling the property and then blah, 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 blah. So just be prepared. It's going to be work, but it's going to be the good kind of work that you're going to enjoy because people are now calling. Shawn will then have 1, 2, maybe he did 3 open houses, 1 hour and 90 minutes. 90 minutes. We're not doing 3, 4, 5 hours. The auctioneer, quarterback, me and you control the terms of the sale. We tell people what to do. We tell them where to go. We tell them what they need to put down, which we'll get into in a minute. We're controlling it. We're the quarterback. So it's so different than traditional real estate where you're kind of at the mercy of the other agent and the buyer and you want to, kissy, make nicey. we're kind of like, it's an obnoxious way to sell real estate. Okay, so now Shawn has the open houses. He's there. I remember him calling me. There were 30 people there. He said to me, everybody get together. I'm going to get Scott on the phone. And I basically told him over the phone, here's what happens. In order to participate in the auction, 5 days before the auction date ending, the bid opens. So we open the floodgates. In order to participate in the auction, the buyer has to put a $10,000 credit card hold. It's just a hold. It's not a charge. So that qualifies them to bid. Anybody can watch these auctions. They're live in real time, which we'll show you in a little while. But you can only bid if you have skin in the game. So if you don't have skin in the game, can't bid. Sorry. Then they have a little trouble. How do I put it in? We have a video for that. We have all the bases covered. Trust me. So now 5 days before the opening bid. So now 100. So now maybe somebody bids the first day 105, 110. Not a lot happens day one, but people are curious and they want to participate and feel actively engaged. So maybe they bid a little bit. Day two, maybe you get another couple bids, and then day three, another couple bids. Now day four, people have on their calendar, okay, the auction ends tomorrow. So now we'll get calls. How do I bid? How do I put my money in? What do I do? It's very simple process. Day five, look out. That morning, it jumped up overnight. People bid like 3 in the morning. They don't think other people are watching it, blah, 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 blah. An hour before the auction is when the good stuff hits the fan. Everybody's now taking interest. You're getting new bidders. You're getting people putting money in, which they can do up until the end. And then what's happening is you're hopefully getting the broker participation agreements that come in with the other brokers, which many, many, many people in our industry come unrepresented by an agent. Because when they call an agent, the agent doesn't take the time to call us to find out how to participate. They're getting free money. They're just filling out a form. But I would say more than half of our people come unrepresented, which is good because then we have to pay less commission. We make more money. But if they're in the game, we honor them. So now what happens is the auction's coming down. There's an hour to go. We prefer that you and your client and us are on a call, typically 30 minutes before the auction ends, to give them an update. We usually have, on an average, 10, 12 bidders per property, sometimes 20, sometimes 5, sometimes 50. So now we give them an update. We call everybody back. You have any questions about the auction? Hi, Jim. It looks like you registered. You got to put your money in. Oh, okay. Did I do that? And live, real time on the screen, we see Jim now put his money in. It's kind of like Las Vegas in betting. You're getting your bet in at the end. So now, 30 minutes before we're having that nice talk, now we're at 160,000. The seller says, yeah, but we're not there yet. I'll say, don't worry. Everything happens at the end. Shawn will tell you. Now we're at 170 with 10 minutes to go, 180, 190. Then what happens is the clock is going down. Boop, somebody hits it under 3 minutes. The clock resets for 3 minutes. It's a soft close. It's very similar to eBay if you're bidding. I wouldn't bid much in advance. I'd wait to the end. So now let's say I'm going to give you 2 scenarios. We're at 190. The client's reserve, which is their level of protection that they don't have to sell it below or pay us anything, is 200. We've now showed them that we've had 7,400 page views, 312 saves, 12 bidders. Sir, you could take less, but this is what your property's worth. The truth came out at the auction. Fair market value has now determined through competitive bidding what it's worth. They say, well, I can't really sell it for that. I said, are you sure? Because now, okay, so let's say they say no. They have the right to reject the bid. The flip side of that scenario, the world that I live in, is we're at 210 or 220. They're high-fiving me through the screen. Everybody's happy. So you have 2 options. They can take less money, but in our world, my success rate is way, way, way up there, probably in the 85 percentile, because I take the right reserve going in. I don't let them tell me. We educate them. So far, everybody hopefully is with me. So now what happens is within 1 hour, and it's sold for 200 or 220 or whatever it is, the buyer is paying our commission. The buyer broker is being covered. Okay. Now, within 1 hour, docu-signing the agreement out. Within 1 business day, that buyer has to put up 10% of the proceeds to the title company. So now they're putting down $20-some thousand, non-refundable. The credit card hold is going away, and we're on our way to settlement with an as-is, whereas contract and no contingencies. So our problem is never really attracting buyers. It's getting the property for the right number that the seller can live with because of the equity situation you may or may not have, what we all feel it's worth. And it's really just a math problem. We're putting the numbers together and trying to figure it all out. But truthfully, in all my years of experience and all my auctions, the truth comes out at the auction at the end. When that clock goes down to zero, you have real bidders, real buyers, ready, willing, and able to buy. And they come from all over. So you're not just limited to the Florida market. We sold 2 properties recently from a guy in South Carolina and North Carolina in Port St. Lucie that never even saw the house. So that's kind of, I know it went fast. It's being recorded. I have a lot of other notes we can share, websites to go to, but now I would like to open it up to some questions.
Yeah, well, real quick, also, if you guys didn't hear, he said that they also do commercial. The first time I actually experienced the auction, I watched them sell a commercial property, and the auction ended at 12. They told me to hop on at the last 5 minutes. I think it was at 1.3 million, and by the end of it, it sold for 2.7 million or something absurd like that, and it went an hour past the end date because people kept bidding. That 3 minute clock that started happening, people kept bidding with 30 seconds left, reset to 3 minutes, 30 seconds left, reset to 3 minutes. And that was what kind of sold me. And also, they have the ability to pay cash or to finance. They have 45 days after the 21-day auction to close. So, but generally speaking, it's going to be a cash buyer, but it also allows for financing.
But Shawn, no FHA and no VA. It has to be conventional, and it's not contingent.
Yeah.
So they can go get financing, but it's that 10% is always at risk. Sometimes we have fallout. I'm not going to lie to you. In all the years we've been doing this, and that money gets split. The deposit gets split between the seller and us and whatnot. So we don't really want to do that. We want to sell the real estate. But in the event that does happen, then we go to the underbidder. The guy bid 190. We say, hey, Jim, the guy can't perform. You can get it at 190 because he forfeited his deposit. Are you in? Let me call my wife. I said, look, I don't have a lot of time. I got to sell this thing. And then I go, I put pressure on him enough to say yes or whatever the case may be. But we're very professional salespeople. We're deadline driven. We're goal oriented. We're successful as all get out. And then when you go to our website, you will see the incredible amount of properties we sell every day. But again, level of motivation. What do the sellers owe? Are they being realistic? The emotional people that are tied into it, where they measure Johnny from the time he was 4 to 16 on the wall with the chalk mark. They're always holding on for that number. The estate sales do very well. Brother and sister inherited the property. One's in North Carolina, one's in DC. It's worth 300. You get me to 275, I'm gone. We don't want to clean it out. We're done. We don't want mom's stuff in the garage. So every scenario is a little different. But you have to remember that we have to have that down and dirty conversation. And we always say, let's have an auction. The truth comes out. Your level of protection is your reserve. If it doesn't hit that minimum, there's no obligation to sell it or pay us a dime. We risk our resources, but we're not going to take something that we think is overpriced. So let's have that hard conversation. So and we got normally we meet or exceed sellers' expectations.
Sorry, we have some questions in the chat.
Go
ahead. Do you have success with unique homes? And then they wrote 5-acre horses allowed pool home.
Yes.
So I'm going to let you answer that one first.
So what's really strangely is Jared sitting next to me, he's laughing. We sell unique everything. I've sold a riverboat, a 400-passenger Mississippi-style riverboat. We sold Joe Flacco, the Super Bowl MVP from the Ravens, his house. We sell stuff that's been burnt down on fire. We sell mold. We sell mildew. We sell beautiful. We sell stupendous. My biggest sale was $2.5 million on a residential sale. So the more unique it is, it's okay. We're going to have to now find that buyer, and we're going to find that buyer through the low opening bid, which is going to attract everybody, not just horse people. Now Mary tells Joe, and Joe tells Tom, and Tom tells Sue, hey, did you see that property? It's in Wellington. It's on 5 acres. They're asking 500,000. 500,000 in Wellington? Well, that's the opening bid at the auction. Now a thing goes, whoo, it just blows up. And so yes, the more unique it is, we could certainly give it a try. We just sold one in Port St. Lucie that was on the market with a former LPT agent. She had it listed at 1.7. We told them it was worth 1.4, and we're at 1.4 right now. So it's just a way of, an auction is an accelerated marketing program. It just brings real buyers to take a look. I'm sure you've all heard about baseball cards that sold for millions, and uniforms and all kind of things throughout life. John Lennon pianos. But people like auctions. They like to competitively bid, but you're taking away all the contingencies. And it's really like an obnoxious way. It says, here, go here, do this, bring your money, shut your mouth, pay your money, see you later, go to closing.
So
kind of like, yeah.
Sorry. So I have a high-end home on a canal in need of repairs. Could sell close to $1 million if fixed up. Would this work for that type of property?
Depending on the seller's understanding of what it's truly worth, not the potential of what it's worth. Like, what's it worth right now as it sits? You have to leave some skin in on the bone for the buyer and some meat on the bone so he can now fix it up, take his money, and go in and do his magic. So 100%. In other words, Jared and I will look at these properties and usually within one day get back to you on what we think the real value is, and then have a really good discussion about it. So don't be shy to bring us your properties unless, again, seller's motivation is in there. They're upside down on the mortgage. There's all kind of nuances. We do sell over 55 communities. It's not as easy because people that are older don't understand auctions where young people may, but we sell them. But it's and raw land is not really easy to sell. But other than that, bring it on.
What is your method for determining value or the low opening bid? Was another question.
Okay, so determining value is you're going to help us. Our home base is in Maryland and DC. Okay, we expanded to Florida and soon Texas. We do business in Virginia, but you're going to think I'm crazy when I tell you this. I get a gut feeling after 25 years of this, and I analyze the market of what's online and what else I can buy for that amount of money, how fast they've sold. Are they selling? Are they why? Is there a new builder down the street that's offering all kind of incentives? Is that my competition? So it's like throwing darts on a dartboard as to why not to take a property. If we hit enough circles, we're going to take it. But if things are like, you know what, they're asking too much, they need a new roof, the HVAC system's 15 years old, they want top dollar, there's mold. If it gets to where they want more than we think we can achieve, the agent, you and I are going to have that discussion and tell the seller, listen, you want 750, we think it's worth in the sixes.
So essentially, I mean, he's going to be working side by side with you. Your CMA
correct.
is going to be important, and you guys are going to have that conversation together. It's not something that they're going to just do on their own.
Yeah, and the opening bid is typically 50% from where we're trying to be. And the opening bid is meaningless. You could make it anything. It's the end that we care about. Where's it going to go at the end? When that hammer hits, what's that number? So the opening bid is really just a teaser. It's like Macy's having a one-day sale on the Black Friday.
Yeah, the opening bid is really generally kind of half of what you're trying to get for it. Would this work for a residential listing that has been on the market for 60 days?
Of course, it could work for anything, provided, again, the seller
better. Let me answer this one because I did it. It is better when you feel like it has an opportunity to be an auction home to start auction rather than put it on the market, have it sit, and then go to auction, because then it sends a mixed message to the community or to anybody who's looking. And also it sets expectations, you know what I mean? Whereas if they just went auction, then it's up in the air of what everybody really thinks it's worth. They're just bidding against each other. But if you put it on the market at some point, you set a price, then they kind of can start understanding what your reserve price may be based on what you did previously.
The other thing is when the low opening bid comes in, they sort of forget about all the other times it was on and off the market, what the previous list price was, because they're seeing that opening bid. Everything else gets forgotten. An auction buyer is very unique to the marketplace. They're excited, they're motivated, they're emotional, they think they're going to get a deal. It's just bizarre. It truly, we have 51,000 people in our database over the last number of years that we've collected, and they get a list of all the properties. And then, of course, it goes out through the MLS. But somehow, some way, we are incredibly successful. Incredibly.
Can the
successful.
home be in any condition?
Yes. Here's why. If it's in terrible condition, there's an investor pool out there. If it's in really good condition, there's a homeowner out there that'll buy it and not want to fix it up in this world today and watch these DIY programs, which are great, but go try to do all that work and get it done. So again, you have to tell me why is the seller leaving? What's their motivation? How much do they have in equity? Any house, any property can be sold at auction, but we have to undo the onion skins. We have to pull back the layers and say, okay, we got a really good chance of success here, guys. And if we don't get 80% chance that we think we're going to sell it, we're probably going to pass. People actually call us back months later.
So
the funny reason I realized it's
Who's on? Okay. So have your auctions slowed down in the market that we're currently in?
Zero chance. Better than ever. And we'll prove it to you when we do the screen share in a little while.
And then to answer the other question, you said Leona said, so Shawn, when it's already listed, does that listing come down and a new listing come up? I had mine already listed. I took these two that I'm on right now because this seller didn't want to do the auction, even though he should have from the beginning. He had tenants in him. It's a big freaking mess. But I put it on temporarily off market, and then it's going to come back on market with the reduced price when it's time to start the auction. So it's not like you don't have to do a whole new listing. You can just change everything, upload their instructional pamphlet to your attachments, put it in the realtor remarks that the realtors aren't going to read because they're lazy, and then they'll call you anyway and ask how it all works, and then you'll say, I'm going to send you a text message. Because what I did was I took the message that they provided with me for my realtor remarks, and I just had it in my notes so I could just copy and paste it to the people that don't do their job and do their due diligence. Juliana wanted to know, can you explain the buyer seller agent commission again, please?
Yes. So you have a listing. Let's say it's a 6% gross listing. 1% of that is going to be contributed to the buyer agent, if there is one. Half the time there's not. So let's say you want to net 4. That's what your goal is. I think I'm entitled to 4%. You have to charge 5, and maybe you're lucky enough to not have a buyer agent, and then you, if you want, can give a 1% credit back to the seller. You can keep it. We, out of our buyer commission, which the buyer pays us, are also contributing 1% to the buyer agent. The buyer agent has very limited skin in the game. They're going to fill out a form. Maybe they go to the open house. Maybe they don't. That's it. There's no negotiations on their end. The FAR bar contract with the auction addendum is already listed and posted. There's no changes to it. It's all seller favorable. And they basically are just filling out, I represent Joe Blow, and Joe Blow signs, and Mary Smith represents me, and they're going to get 2% for doing nothing. And in Shawn's case, I think they made $8,000, $9,000, $10,000. They filled out a form. It's the easiest money they'll ever make. They're not going to inspections. They're not doing anything, basically.
Yeah, on my first one ever, I made 5% because I had to give up one. But it was crazy to me because it just, the numbers worked out on that one where he got what he wanted and his closing costs were paid. He still saved money, and I made out with 5% on that one, and it was really beneficial for me. But does it always go that way? No. I mean, in the end, maybe it comes in a little under what they wanted, but now you have the ability to say, hey, well, I really only need to get my 3 or whatever. So you can reduce it for them, and you can help them out.
Yeah, what may happen at the end of the auction, if we're using that example, they wanted 200, we're 190. Shawn and I may text privately, will you give a little more? I'll give a little. We're getting that house sold that day. We're too close. So we're going to work it out some way, shape, or form, and that's what we're going to do. We're, again, deadline driven, goal oriented, successful. We know how to close real estate deals, and we know how to basically get it to the finish line.
Somebody said, did you say 21 days from opening bid to end of auction?
No. From the day the client signs the listing agreement with us, the auction's 21 days. Okay. Now, day 16 is when the bidding opens. So for 16 days, it's being seasoned, it's being marketed, it's being distributed, people are talking about it, there's open houses. Then 5 days before that end date is when the floodgate opens, and that's when the people start bidding.
Yeah, they will also send you a packet for each listing. They sent me open house signs. They sent me an auction sign to hang from my sign, and a bunch of documentation that you could put on the table and things of that nature that explain how the process works for the millions of people that are you're going to come to your open house. I actually started pulling my camera out, filming, because I hadn't seen an open house that packed in a minute. Somebody said, does the property have to be on MLS for it to be auctioned?
You mean before we get it or after we get it? We have to put it on the MLS. That's how Zillow, Trulia, Redfin, Realtor.com pick it up. Without that, forget it. It would be a failure.
Do you ever not get bids on a home?
I can't remember the last time that ever happened.
Oh crap! I think you got muted.
Oh, me? Me?
No, he's good. He's good.
Okay.
I think we lost the audio.
No, we're good.
Oh, you can hear him? What did I do?
Yeah, so I'm telling you, out of all of my years of experience, we always have bidders. Finding the right motivated seller is the issue in the auction world. In other words, people call, we interview a property, we look at it online, we do a pencil appraisal, it doesn't work. So that's gone. But finding buyers, when you have an opening bid as low as we have, people always, always, always participate in an auction. Somebody always wants it at some number, and then we go to work. Then we either work them up or we call them the day before the auction. Now, I will tell you a new flip side to this whole conversation is we also get a lot of offers before the auction that are equal to or greater than the reserve, and the seller has the right to cancel the auction and accept that. Same terms. That happens about 25% of the time. Somebody will call, say, look, I see you're offering 100. What really, what's the number? What will they take? I'm ready to buy it. Now we lead them. We say, we think we're going to have a 2 in front of it. Well, will they take 200? And then we just go to work and try to get it done, which we'll show you later when we share screens about the pre-sold. I don't want to confuse you, but it does happen.
And then can you help propose the auction process to a seller? If you're in Florida, actually, if you're anywhere, you can reach out to me too. But yeah, Scott, he, in the beginning, before I really understood how to explain it to my clients, Scott did it for me. So yes, they can do that.
And we have on our YouTube channel 3 to 4 minute videos. Simple, easy, just like that lady was talking that explains it quick, quick, boom, boom, boom. But I certainly will get on the phone. Shawn will tell you any hour of the day, pretty much, and try to do this. This is what I do. I thrive on it. I totally love my career. I'm great at it.
And you asked, sorry, how does Scott get paid again? So the buyer has to pay a premium. And that there's a slot in it for the Florida Stellar MLS. I don't know about everybody's MLS, but in our MLS, there is a spot that says, yes, it's an auction. How much is the buyer premium? And then what's it's 6% buyer premium?
6% buyer's premium, of which it's a possibility that the buyer agent is going to get 2. Because you may contribute and we may contribute 1, but it's a 6% buyer's premium. Now, if it's a really cheap property under 100,000, which we've sold many times, it's a 10% buyer's premium because there has to be enough skin in the game. 53 people work here and everybody works on it. We got to make money. So it's not an issue. The buyer's premium is sales tax on a car. That's what I tell people. How much you pay for that Corvette? I paid 50,000. No, was it 50,000? Sales tax, 53,167 and 29 cents. They don't even think about it while they're bidding. I will tell you that. It's never been an issue in my career. If you don't like it, don't participate. These are the terms.
In the market that we're entering right now, once the new NAR settlement stuff comes out anyway, I mean, this is going to be the situation for some people, and this may be a great option for people because of it. But yeah, the buyer knows that whatever they bid, they have to pay 6% on top of what they bid, and then that's how the auction company gets paid.
Fully disclosed on the website, in your remarks and our remarks. We remind them we're not here to hide anything. We're a transparent company. Getting back to Shawn talking about the NAR, it's really beneficial for you because you as an agent, your seller really aren't dealing with the buyer and the agent. We are. We're like the middle people. So that really is helpful. I mean, I pitched that to you guys way back when we saw this coming.
Yeah, and to be honest with you, I got so many leads out of this thing. When I did my first open house and all those people came through, I was just flabbergasted. It got to a point where I really was getting overwhelmed with phone calls. It was that busy and that great for my seller. Is it always going to be that way? No. You know what I mean? This isn't a fail safe. This isn't, nothing is. So just always know that, and in the end, know that we're going to do the best we can to get sold. Well, them, but
it's a team effort. It's a team effort.
Yeah, I kind of help with any simple questions that people have, so they don't have to bother them doing all the hard work where they're at with the website and the actual auctions that they're running on a daily basis. So I can always be available if you have a question about it, because I've done it myself. It'll be 4 times after these 2 go up. Is there any other questions that we can help answer as far as how this process works? The bid price includes our compensation.
So the bid price, what happens is to the final bid price is a 6% buyer's premium. So if the buyer actually bids 200,000, they're paying 212. The seller is actually paying you as a traditional agent, like in a traditional sale. So at the settlement table, that's where it's all going to be figured out on the HUD. The buyer's premium is added to the final bid price. So the gross effective price of the home is 212. That's what's going to hit your Department of Taxation reports, and that's what it's going to go on the MLS as. It's 212, not 200.
Yeah. And then who picks the closing company?
Well, that's a good question. So when we first got started in Florida, we had a very helpful attorney who's a title attorney. So we tried to give him business because he was instrumental in going through everything, and it was hours and hours and hours. From that point on, Shawn was referring us to LPT agents, and most of them were using a company called Closing City, who we met at the convention. So we were trying to help him because he understood it. But if somebody has a title company, we don't want to have a separate title company for every property. It's too hard for the title companies to understand what we do. Once they understand how the adjustments are made, and once they understand how this works, and they have to keep an eye out for the wire, we're open, but we don't want to just open it to the state of Florida to any title company for each deal. It's going to drive our office crazy.
Yeah, they want to have a little bit of experience with some auctions.
Yeah,
right?
they have to really know the back end because the adjustments are very seller favorable. And if they have new people in their office that don't know how this works, it's a cluster, you know what. So we can talk about it, but we need very experienced title people to handle these sales.
And to go back to the commission thing, just remember that whatever you want to make in the end, charge 1% more than that.
Right.
And remember that 1% goes towards the buyer's agent commission, which ends up being 2% because the auction company pays 1 and you pay 1. So if you want to make 3%, seller needs to pay 4. If you don't mind taking 2.5, seller needs to pay 3.5 on your listing agreement. And then if there is no buyer's agent, then you're good. You can either give it back to the seller or keep it yourself. But you know, that's the situation for that. Any other questions that we can help with? I know there's got to be some more. No, not yet.
All right, so you want me to show a couple things on the screen share?
Sure.
So I'm going to bring my trusted assistant, Katie. Katie's our graphics person. She helps in the back end. She sends you all kind of pretty pictures and documents and all kind of good stuff. So she's very helpful. So let's go to alexcooper.com. Okay, can I see? Oh, hold on.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Hey, Andrew, did you open it up so everybody could share, right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so can everybody see this?
Yes.
So every day, Monday through Thursday, we have auctions. It goes on and on and on and on and on. All kind of property, good, bad, indifferent, smooth. So here, let's pick this one. So I'm now going to look at this auction, July 16th. It ends at noon. See? I'm going to view the details. This is what I want you to see. On the right-hand side here, the current bid's 140. I think it started at 100. The deposit was $7,500. And right here, there's 1 hour and 8 minutes to go. So as this clock changes, as this price changes, the top bidder gets informed that he was outbid. Everybody else watches it. Okay, so now tomorrow, if you tune back in here, let's say with 8 minutes to go, this could be 180, 190, so on and so forth. This is just a very average house. It's probably worth, high ones. They brought it to auction. But here's how the buyer registers a bid. He goes on this tab, name, phone number, email, and then the next step is to put in this deposit. They ask him for his credit card and so on and so forth. Then we get alerted. You have a new bidder. He's got his money in. His name is Jim Smith. His phone number is whatever. So we could either call him and say, hey, Jim, you have any questions? We see you put your money in, blah, blah, blah. Down here, she works here. She's one of the Coopers. And then this is all the descriptions they're going to read. They're going to go in here and read all this. Okay. They're going to sign an NDA that they've read everything about the auction. And that's what they're going to do. So for an example, terms of sale. See the 6% buyer's premium added to the hammer price? That's the commission. Okay. So that's one. Okay. Another one would be, this is very unique. This is in Silver Springs, Maryland, magnificent property. It's 3 office buildings. This is a substitute trustee sale. That means it's not an owner selling it. There's a court appointed somebody or whatever. But look at this. Initial deposit, $1 million. You got to put $1 million in to bid on that. Okay. Then we go here. Oh, let me go back here, guys. Are you still with me, Shawn?
Yes.
So if you go in our sold section, it goes on and on, 244 pages of solds recently. Okay. Over here, same thing, 169. I think they wanted 160. This one they wanted 500. Jared and I sold this one in Florida last week they wanted 100 and a quarter. This was sold for 3.5 million, 180,000, 331. On and on and on. Sold, 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 sold. Here we sold this one in wherever, I don't even know where Riverview, Florida is. 445. 91,000 for a condo, but everything in between. Everything. And you see how it has 248 pages here? That's like in the last, what'd you say, Jared? Year and a half?
Yeah.
How you like that? 916,000 for this property. This is Larry Cooper. We all work here. There's a bunch of us, but here's a house in nice area in Potomac, Montgomery County, 916,000. I don't even know. I never even seen this house, but this is what it looked like. It looked like a wreck, but it's in the right area. So hopefully you can go on the Alex Cooper website and look around. It's very interesting. And you can watch auctions every day, Monday through Thursday, if you want to have a client go on here and you want to see the clock moving and what's going on. Here's another one, Jared. We're selling this tomorrow.
Somebody said one of their stale listings is on that street in Riverview.
Oh, that's funny. So
how do the new rules apply to this process where we can't put commission, but we showed it on the auction site?
They have to fill out a broker participation form, which has the commission.
So the broker participation form will be in the documents. If they want to go in here and fill out a form, they fill it out and they send it in, but they have to send it in. And here
that discloses the commission.
Yeah, that discloses the commission. And then basically what happens is this. They have to go ahead and basically know that they have to register 48 hours in advance of the auction, because we don't want somebody coming along after the auction and say, oh, Mary was my client. I showed it to her back at the open house. If you don't fill out the form, no ticky, no laundry, as they say. Sorry. So we're very, very strict about that.
Yeah, it was very exciting the first time I watched one of the auctions. I will say that. I sat there for 30 minutes watching it continue.
So here's a nice house in Cambridge, Maryland, 115. It'll probably go to 200. Now we know on the back end what they're trying to get, obviously, even if it's not our listing. We can tell you, 1 day to go. So you see, that's Matt Cooper. There's a lot of Coopers here. Now, let me just show you one more. This is important. Is everybody still with me?
Yep.
Okay, let me show you this property, because this is one that was very challenging. Could be my hardest case in a long time. Okay, difficult seller, old, elderly, moved to South Carolina, left the house. It was really in bad shape, but it looked great. It was on 5 acres in a really good area. They wanted $1 million. Let me just see if I can share. Where's that? Oh, hold on. Pull me up Redcoat real quick.
Just do a search up top, right?
I did. Hold on. This is a challenge. Red COAT. Nope.
You're sold.
I did.
No, you didn't.
Past sales.
Yeah, you gotta click on past sales.
Oh, hang on.
Hey,
No?
Spelled wrong.
Come on over here, bro. Where is it? Anyway, so long story short, they wanted $1 million. We had 3 open houses. People came. Everybody told me what was wrong with the house. Blah, blah, blah. I listened with one ear. I say, well, maybe it's not for you. Blah, blah, blah. We finally got an offer for $820 right before the auction. We didn't have many bidders, and this guy knew the property. And I called the seller. I said, listen, the only thing people that think it's worth $1 million is you. They had what do they have, Jared? The breezeway. What do they call it? Not the breezeway. They had a bridge leading to the house. An ambulance or a fire truck could not fit over there. Everyone asked me, what happens if you have an emergency or a moving truck? So I'm like, I don't know. So it had like everything against it, but we sold it and we got $820, and that's truly what it was worth. I mean, that was one of the ones where we really had to tell the seller, it's been on the market 330 days. You have a great agent. You need to listen to reality. We sold it. You see it anywhere? I can't find it, but that was a nice, unique property. Any other, look, even these crappy houses we sell. Here's a nice one. Jared and I have this one. This is in Montgomery County. Opening bid's 510. We're hoping to get into sevens. We should.
Go to
Maybe.
go to the Florida ones.
Okay. Oh, Katie has a,
And then when you're done, click on that special meatloaf recipe. I need a new meatloaf recipe.
So here's Florida. Where's this one? This is coming. Sean, is this you?
Those are
Oh,
the
yeah.
ones. Yeah, those are
Oh,
my new.
Jared's built the website while we're talking. Okay, so here's Sean.
I gotta tweak the.
He's going to tweak it. He just did it while we were talking. He's sitting at the next desk. So here's Sean's property. It's coming up August 8th. So the bidding is going to start on August 3rd at 1. It's going to end on the 8th.
Let me explain something, by the way, just before people start judging. I ended up doing my own photography. It's not amazing, but that's because this guy, he's a real stickler. He wouldn't pay my transaction fee. He was only going to offer 4.5% and total. So, it was a big, and it's for 3 listings. So I had to pay his transaction fee. I was like, all right, man, I'm not hiring a photographer for you, buddy. So just a heads up.
So anyway, but you see how Sean gets on here with us? Not that anybody may call him from our website, but they might, and it's got his credibility here, and it talks all about the auction and whatnot. So this is one that he has coming up on August 8th, and we have another one at noon for him the same day, same seller. So we need that guy on the phone, and hopefully, we reach the number that he wants. He's a hard seller. It'll be interesting to see what happens here. But we told him the truth on what the value was, and he said, "Okay, I understand auctions."
Yeah, one of the houses has a tenant, Section 8, so it's been very difficult.
Can you show me
and this is hopefully going to solve the issue.
Properties. All right, so we're going to show you some recent sales. Oh, we're going to show you some recent sales in Florida.
But real quick, can you just before you? Oh, recent sales in Florida. Good.
Yeah.
You don't have to go to the spreadsheet. You can pull it up on the website.
No, like this. So these are some houses that we sold in the last few months in Florida that were all over the place. I mean, Boca to Port St. Lucie to places I never heard of. This one right here is in Port St. Lucie. And a couple of these were, let's see, one was in Fort Lauderdale. This was in Fort Lauderdale. This thing was on the market for a year. Now, if you go to their website, you'll see all the prices and all the details. We didn't want to bore you with all that, but this is just kind of recently. And I'll be honest with you, most of these came because Sean referred us to somebody and they called us, or they saw it on his website, or they saw it on his blog, and they were interested, and that was it.
Can you show the Riverview sold home? Somebody asked on Brighton.
Go on the website.
Yeah, hang on.
Riverview
Here,
website.
Riverview.
So that's it.
Oh yeah. So this house, this was interesting. I don't know how much they wanted, some crazy amount of money. This lady was very nice to deal with. So she called us and we spoke to them, and nothing was selling because I think there was a new neighborhood that was being built, and that was the competition. And these people had high expectations of what their house was worth. And at the end of the day, when the auction hammer hit, they said, okay. But we knew they wanted more. But again, they said, this is what it's worth. You've proven it to us. We've seen all the people come through the house, and this is what it's worth. So we sold it. It was sold in 21 days, just recently, June 26th.
So guys, if there is any other questions that you think of later, feel free to reach out to either me or Scott.
One more thing, Sean. Sean, one more thing.
Yeah,
Katie's gonna pull up Power of the Auction website where they can see all the tutorials and go through it and talk to their sellers about it. It's got the agent tab for them. That's really where everybody should start. Hang on 1 minute. And we have all kind of material, how to turn your listing into an auction and all that, which can bore you. But so this is a site that we created as educational because we got so tired of telling the story. Okay. And it basically, here's a house here. But so up here, it'll say agent tab. Now it's got why choose agents. That's a 3-minute video. How's it work? Everything Sean and I discussed. Okay. Over here is the YouTube channel. If you want to see some sellers, what happens on auction day, here's an auction we did, how to bid, introduction to the auction, how the auction could benefit the client, attorneys use us. This is very cool. They're 3 minutes long. They're fun. You can send them to your client. We can help you. But we always suggest the client read and review some of this. So when we get on the phone, they have a little bit of an understanding because it could be an hour conversation all day long. And I'll do it. But we'd like for them to at least be somewhat familiar. And we'd like for you to tell us 0 to 10 level of motivation. What do they owe? The address. Why hasn't it sold? Katie has a sheet she could send out with some questions. It takes a minute to fill it out, but that really helps us. So we try to turn decades into days in our business, but we haven't figured out to a science. It really does work. I appreciate all your time and effort, and any other questions, we're always available.
All right, let me stop the screen sharing real quick here. Can you stop the screen share real quick?
Katie, how do you stop the screen share? Hang on. Got my assistant here. I need a 7-year-old to work with me. There we go.
So, hey guys, if there's any other questions, I put Scott's number and my number in the chat. Like he said, familiarize yourself with kind of a little bit about how the process works so you can bring it to your seller and it doesn't seem like you don't know what you're talking about. But if you do get caught up, you need some help talking to your seller, or you need to ask some questions, you can reach out to me, you can reach out to Scott, and I can help guide you through the process and make sure that the seller has a full understanding. Shawn, what is the process with LPT and existing listing documents? Does the broker need to approve this process? No, I just signed a co-listing agreement with them, and I don't believe it needs I didn't have to get a broker signature, and everything went smoothly. But yeah, they have all that documentation, and they send it to you and to your seller once you give them all that information. What fees does the seller actually pay? I believe it's just your commission. They don't pay any closing costs. They don't pay the buyer's agent. None of that. Correct, Scott?
Correct.
Yeah. So it's really good for the sellers, to be honest with you, and it'll hopefully be another tool in your guys' utility belt that you can use. All right.
Shawn, I have just a couple more notes and then I'm gonna close out. So
Sure.
basically, what I talk to the people about is properties sell based on location, condition, and price. That's really what it comes down to. If it's not the great location, but the condition's great and the price is good, we'll sell it. You can flip this way any which way you can. Location, condition, and price. That's really important. The other thing Shawn told you that I can do is I could say all the things that you want to say, but you don't want to be insulting to the seller. And sometimes it may not come out right, but sometimes they need to hear it. And sometimes we have to go toe to toe for 5 minutes. They can hate me at the end, but they may lower the price to you. But somebody needs to tell these people, this isn't 2 years ago where people were throwing money at you. The market's changed. I shared with Shawn an article that 13 out of 15 counties in Florida way down. And he could share that with you, or we could send it out. It lists them all. So that was 2. Favorite saying, fair market value is determined through competitive bidding. That's it. So that's that. And then my fourth, 2 more. The only person that really thinks of property value is you. We've had it on the market, and there's no offers. It's stale. It's flat. So we need to figure out a new strategy here. Let me bring in Scott. He's my auctioneer guy. Let's see what his opinion is, and then we talk about it. You and I have a conversation first. I kind of know how to feel it out and what the hot spots are. We go from there, and then this could be my other favorite. There's an 11th commandment most people don't know about. Thou shalt not make a profit on all your real estate investments. And that's it. Thank you very much for your time.
Andrew?
All right, guys. Well, I appreciate everyone checking out the class today. We got I put the link for our YouTube page in there where this will live. You saw Alex Cooper Auctioneer YouTube page. We'll be back next week with another Team Up Tuesday. We got a commercial one coming up on the last Tuesday of the month, I believe, and a lot of great information coming at you guys. So make sure if you want to plug in with us or connect, feel free. There's a link for the calendar right there for you guys. Alex Cooper Auctions has done a great stuff. Scott, can't thank you enough. I appreciate you, my friend.
I was going to tell you one more business thing. If you come across commercial real estate, nope, I'm muted. You hear me?
I hear you.
If you guys come across commercial real estate,
you lost audio, Scott. Now I'm with you, Shawn. I can't hear him. Sorry, Scott.
Don't shy away from commercial real estate. If you hear about it, if you don't have it listed, we can give you a nice referral fee. or through Shawn. But anything you hear about, you don't have to have the listing to take it to the auction and get somehow.
All right, guys. Scott, can't hear you, man.
I heard him. I was hearing him.
All right.
Thanks.
All right, guys.